So these should have already gone out into the large brooder, but they haven't because life got in the way. And look how kicky they are. They're in the kicky stage. So they love kicking around the sawdust. I've just changed their bedding. And don't worry, they do have food. Look, it's here. They're going to look like they've never been fed before. There we go. I've just taken it out and cleaned it out because they get sawdust in it. But the problem I'm having, right, is that because they're all kicky, they're filling this water up with sawdust. But so I took this bowl, this piece of metal here, and I've just like put it over the top, and I'm hanging that on there. Do you think it's gonna work? Look at them. They always, if you've got birds, they always look like you've never fed them. I promise you they have food 24/7. They're acting like, oh my God, I've never been fed before. So I've gone ahead and given them the water art on there. I think I'm going to do something very similar on the other side with a feeder so that they stop kicking their water, their food into their sawdust, into their food. Also, that food does have grit in it, okay? It's like a really fine sand, because they're only little still. But they are getting to the point where they're fairly feathered. I'm going to grab one and show you. He's going to pretend he hates me. So, my little feathery friend. Sorry, he is a cob. Oh, don't kick. And you can see that he's pretty well feathered now. Like, impressively feathered for him. His little fuzzy head. Their heads are the ones that will go the less. They're quite used to being handled. Aren't you? Quite used to being handled now, because obviously I handle them every day. Look at him. His heart's not even beating fast. Go with your friends. So I find it really important to handle all of our birds every day. Obviously I don't want them to be scared of me, right? I am the food person, so they love me. So when I come in and feed them, they're like, oh my God, food lady. And then when I move them out into the big brooder, that's where we kind of incorporate a little bit of treats into their diet. A little bit though, because they get fat. And we worry about them being fat, basically. Because if they gain too much weight, then they have issues with their legs, because these are meat birds. And I'm worried about their weight gain being too fast, because I don't want them not being able to move around, okay? Because when they go out into the big run, they would like to run around, they like to peck and scratch. So it's really important for me anyway, for them to have like a really good sort of life, and so that they're really happy and things. And I know it makes lots of people feel really uncomfortable talking about meat animals, because meat animals are, well, we don't really think of them out of sight and out of mind. But the thing is we as meat eaters here, we thought that it was really important for us to understand the process of having meat animals, because it gives you such a respect for animals, and it gives you such a respect for meat. Like, I don't eat meat in the same way now. Like, we don't eat meat at every meal. We used to, don't get me wrong, we used to eat meat every single meal that we ate. Breakfast would be meat, lunch would be meat, etc. Now we only eat meat, well, to be honest, we don't even eat meat most days. We eat meat on some days. Some days we have fish, some days I definitely have vegetarian, etc. So it gives you a real respect for animals. I love animals, and I want to express that. These animals won't be here if people use them for meat. I know that it makes people uncomfortable, but all of the meat that's in the supermarket are the same animals. But my animals are really loved, really well looked after, and have freedom to go out into the world when they're big enough. I can't put these out yet because it wouldn't be fair for them. They're still on light. So it's really important that they have a heat source so they don't. It's really important that they have a heat source. Look at them, kicky ones. I can't believe this is our third or fourth batch of chickens, and this is the first time I thought of doing this. I'm embarrassed. So I do deep bedding, but I do wash it out. This is all fresh and new. So I started again, but because this keeps tipping over, you get water down the bottom. So it's super important that I've thought of this. So one of them was injured. I think it was this little guy. So he was injured. I'm not sure what happened. One of them did have an injury on their back. They have a pecking order, chickens. And he basically was the smallest. He was the runt of the litter. He still is. However, we did treat him. We put like an antiseptic spray on it. Well, the royal we being me. And basically, he after spraying him a few times, he was fine. He just needed that little bit of TLC, so I did that to him, make sure that it was warm, he could have access to food and everything, make sure that nobody was picking on him by putting a bit of blue coat on him. So basically, he's completely healed. You wouldn't even tell, like you can't see that he was injured, but basically because they have a pecking order, it's like savage. Ducks, we were just talking about this, me and my partner, right? Ducks are the friendliest animals. See, the thing is people always say like the first animal you should get is chickens. I would strongly recommend ducks. Yes, they need water. Yeah, they need to have a bath. They need to be able to dunk their head, okay? And they love swimming. So yeah, it's good to have a pond and things like that. But on a social level, they're so simple to keep. Like on a social level, my ducks, genuinely, my ducks are so easy to keep because they just get along with each other. You could just get another duck and then obviously you have to quarantine it. But then pop it in with the other ducks and they'll be like, oh, hello, other duck. Didn't see you here before. Oh well. And that'll be that. Like I'm not going to say that they're going to be BFFs. Like they're going to be like, oh, Dave's here. But they're not going to be like chickens that peck them and fight and all of that sort of jazz. We like ducks. I feel ducks are the easiest animal that I've kept. Then it would be turkeys. I really like the turkeys. They didn't peck you when you went in, which I really appreciated. Whereas I find the cobs, when they get older, they peck you, and sometimes it hurts, especially if you're wearing shorts. And also, I just find them harder to keep. I just prefer the ducks and the turkeys. Not that they aren't awesome animals, but I just think it's quite interesting to compare them. So, the other day, I was coming here. I come here at least once a day, just like check on them, check their food, check their water, etc. Like I do myself. I'm not saying that I'm the only person that comes down here, because I'm not. But anyway, when I come down here, I see 2 of the chickens escaped the brooder box thing. And it's because the lid wasn't on quite correctly, and then we have a little hole in it because that's where the heat lamp goes, but we don't use a heat lamp this time of year. We use a mother hen. So they've jumped on top of the mother hen and jumped out the hole onto the box. And they were like cheeping, like, oh, I want to come back. Anyway, I've caught them, and because in here it's like it's a working garage, yeah, and the little faces were like all dusty and things. I was like, oh, you poor little things. Popped them back in. They were absolutely fine. They weren't cold or anything. They'd been out for like I went down here like 20 minutes after my partner had been down here, so like less than 20 minutes. And they're quite old now. They're like fully feathered, so don't feel sorry for them. But they were like out and about, just like, hello, I'm a chicken. And they were like, they jumped out, but as soon as they get out the brooder, they're like, what do? I want to go back inside. So I popped them back inside. They are, like I said, they're super due to go into the big brooder, and our ones in the big brooder are super due to go down to the allotment. So that's going to happen this long bank holiday weekend. This is going to be our last batch of chickens this year because things are getting colder now, and we really struggle raising chicks when it's cold because we have to keep them inside for so long, and it's nice to when it's nice and warm, because then we're going to go ahead and pop them out a little bit earlier. So we think it's super important to sort of work with the weather and not work against it, because we raised some birds in April for Easter, because like it was the first time we raised the birds, yeah, and we were like, well, of course you have chicks for Easter. That's an Easter thing, right? No, never again. I will always wait until like May, because in May, if I hatch them out in May, it's so much nicer and warmer for them, so they can go out and enjoy the outside. Like those ones are so ready to be outside. If it was still April, it'd be too cold for them. They wouldn't be happy at all. We'd have to have so many heat lamps on them, etc. It'd be just very stressful. So next year I've learned something. Remember, this is the first year that I've raised chickens. Last year I raised turkeys, but this is the first time I've raised chickens. We've actually had our ducks now. Worked it out the other day. We've had ducks, not necessarily these ducks, but we've had ducks now for about 6 years. which is a very long time, isn't it? I can't believe how quickly it's gone. So we love ducks. Now, our ducks have stopped laying pretty much because they're quite elderly ducks. But they are pet ducks, so we are going to keep them. But they haven't laid any eggs. I think it was because of the hot weather. And now I do think that they're a little bit old to be laying eggs. And I think our oldest duck is about 6. So they're all different ages. One's 6, one's 1 because he was born last year. We bred him ourselves and we kept him because we like to have a drake amongst our ducks. Because we really like, I find the drake's the most snuggly. And he's such a great personality, Blossom. But our oldest one, Sunflower, she's about 6 years old now. So she is getting to the point where she's a little bit of an old lady. So they have slowed down on their egg production. But they're still valued members of our wonderful household. So they are great for kids. So my daughter loves them. So they're not going anywhere anytime soon, even though they're a little bit elderly. I mean, I'm having to buy eggs now, but it's okay. Let's see what happens over the winter period. Let's see. They might be finished all the way up until Christmas now. So that's okay. We don't mind. We do like eggs though. And obviously, Lucky, our turkey, she is probably our best layer at the moment. We get roughly 70 turkey eggs a year, and they're really yummy. I actually prefer turkey eggs to duck eggs now. Like when I first had my first ever duck egg, I was like, oh my god, chicken eggs, never again. And then I was like, oh my god. Well, actually, what really happened was we got our turkeys and we got 9 free turkey eggs, and the people that bred our turkeys was like, don't eat turkey eggs fried, they're horrible. They're all right baking, but they're horrible fried. So naturally I fried one and they're really good, like really good. I don't know, it's a texture thing. The texture of them is so yummy. Like, I can't describe it. It's a little bit chewier, but that sounds a bit gross. But it's really, really nice. They're like meatier, that's it. They're just nice. I mean, it tastes like an egg. All eggs taste like an egg. But they're really good. And I do recommend them. If you've ever got the chance of eating turkey eggs, I would recommend them because they're super yummy. Duck eggs are super nice as well. They make fantastic cakes. So do turkey eggs. So it's something that we've been thinking about, and having a whole host of things to kind of have a variety of stuff. And I think it's really nice, especially for the kids. But I do know that last year we had so many eggs. I remember giving away 20 eggs. You take them, I can't handle them. We end up glassing a load of eggs. I actually made a video of that if you want to go back and watch it. And it's really important to store them for winter. We've got none stored at the moment. That's right, guys, we are egg free. We haven't had an egg for about a month now because of the hot weather. I think it just completely knocked my girls right, and then they started shedding, and they don't lay when they shed. So it's really important to just give them a bit of a break. And like I said, they're not going anywhere. They're our little snuggle muffins. So we will keep them until I want to think of a nice way of saying pop off, because they are part of our family sort of thing. They are getting quite old now though, but I do think that ducks live for a good few years left, so they're going to be here for a little while, and we're just enjoying them. We just really like them. So this is the next morning. Little birdies, little zoomies. You can see that the water, it's got a little bit of sawdust in it, but it is so much better. They've kicked the sawdust around. They really go into the bigger brooder, so that's what I'm going to do probably tomorrow or maybe tonight. There's Bailey just checking out his chickens. Okay. Because Bailey has been around, sorry, I'm trying to get past him, because Bailey's been around chickens his whole life and birds his whole life, he's so chill with them. Even if he's in a really high mood, he'll just really slow down when it gets to the birds, which is awesome, I think.